So it seems that there's still a chance that Epcot might be receiving another new attraction within the coming years, but we'll discuss why up next. Hi there Waltoneers, I'm Jack, this is DSNY Newscast, and let's get straight into it. So in recent months we've been discussing the massive changes that are currently being planned for Epcot, as Disney is set to shift focus by the end of 2019 from the efforts to make Disney's Hollywood Studios a true whole-day park with the additions of Toy Story Land, Galaxy's Edge and Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Disney will then turn their attention to Epcot, as we've already seen many announcements already made for this park. Clearly, Walt Disney Imagineering are in the early development stages for many upcoming announcements and changes that will occur between now and 2022. But that brings us to the Disney Skyliner, as essentially the International Gateway Station will present many guests within Epcot with the opportunity to exit and transfer on over to Disney's Hollywood Studios or any of the Disney Value Resorts in a much easier way than ever before. But here's the issue, as with the Ratatouille attraction set to open in 2020 at the back of the France Pavilion and the rumoured Mary Poppins Small Dark Ride coming to the UK Pavilion, this entire area within Epcot is going to become extremely crowded, especially considering that the brand new refresh of Illuminations is supposed to debut at Epcot at the end of 2019, if not early 2020, which will mean that many people will see the International Gateway and the Disney Skyliner as an easy exit out of the park instead of walking back around to the entrance. Now this is where Coco comes back into it, as Jim Hill has recently reported on the Disney Dish podcast with Len Tester, which if you haven't already, definitely go give it a listen, that apparently the Coco-themed overlay of the Grand Fiesta Tour attraction could be the answer to the expected crowd problem within World Showcase. As it was reported by Jim Hill that sources say that Disney are concerned about the congestion that is now being predicted for the very small walkway through the International Gateway area. And to make matters worse, the novelty of the Disney Skyliner transportation service will possibly create longer lines that will intercept with this very small walkway during peak hours. Whilst the main objective that Disney will be trying to achieve by adding Coco to the Mexico Pavilion will be to create a sort of counterweight to balance the crowd flow around the World Showcase Lagoon, as then you'll have Frozen and Coco as major pulling factors on the other side of World Showcase, along with Guardians of the Galaxy, which will be opening in 2021. Now sometimes insider information like this can be somewhat troublesome, as we heard way back in January that the Coco overlay was less likely to happen. But now we're getting other insiders confirming that Disney is indeed at least looking at the Coco proposals once again. But the main thing is that it won't be a major retheme of the entire Mexico Pavilion, like Disney did by injecting Frozen into the Norway Pavilion, but instead more of a modest retheming of the existing ride with subtle integration of the Coco movie and songs into the attraction, which will replace Donald's 3 Caballeros. But the previous reasoning for why Coco was supposedly off the table was because of the film's slightly lower domestic box office performance. But according to sources, the fact that Coco is the 5th highest grossing Pixar movie worldwide is actually what is making Disney rethink their inclusion of adding Coco within Epcot, especially considering the massive international audience that Walt Disney World enjoys year-round. However, all of this seems incredibly promising, but we've got to remember that this attraction's retheming hasn't been confirmed as of yet, and Disney may come up with an alternative measure to alleviate the crowd flow problems which are being predicted for World Showcase in the next year or two. But speaking of Disney box office successes, it's pretty hard to go anywhere at the moment without hearing 3 words, and that is Avengers: Infinity War. As this past weekend, the 19th installment to the Marvel Cinematic Universe exploded worldwide on cinema screens, as the movie has now made Hollywood history by accumulating the highest grossing opening weekend box office of all time, with $257 million in the US alone, beating the previous record holder of Star Wars: The Force Awakens, and Avengers: Infinity War has already grossed $640 million worldwide. without even opening in key areas such as China. Now personally, having seen this movie on opening night last week, I've got to say I loved the pacing of how the directors, the Russo brothers, balanced what could have easily been 2.5 hours of non-stop action sequences with these slower, more reflective moments that really made you pause and realise the gravity of the situation. And also, I've got to say that in places it felt less like the stereotypical superhero movie and more like a traditional disaster movie like Day After Tomorrow or Independence Day, with the quiet, calm before the storm realisation for the main characters. But overall, I felt that Marvel have really nailed the tone for this movie. But I would still say that I enjoyed The Force Awakens or a Guardians of the Galaxy movie just a little bit more, but still, it's definitely worth going to see. But meanwhile, over in China, Disney CEO Bob Iger was on hand to officially open Shanghai Disneyland's version of Toy Story Land, with this completed final look around the land that shows us that Shanghai received a Mr. Potato Head statue along with the Buzz Lightyear packaging that will be located atop of the Alien Swirling Saucers attraction in the Walt Disney World version. And also, Shanghai Disneyland offers us a glimpse at what could have been in Walt Disney World with the Owl's Toy Barn gift shop that originally was planned for the Toy Story Land project before it was scaled back in 2016. And lastly for today, just a little bit of news about Disneyland Paris, as the website Disney and More have sources indicating that a version of the Blue Sky Cellar or the Walt Disney Presents preview room will be coming to Disneyland Paris as part of the Art of Animation post-show room, with the main purpose to create exposure and hype for the massive $2 billion expansion that's coming to Walt Disney Studios Park over the next decade. But now, it's over to you, Waltoneers, as I would like to know which pavilion do you think within the World Showcase deserves to get its own attraction? And what type of attraction do you think it should be, and how would it realistically fit within that pavilion? And of course, don't forget to put the timestamp for where the hidden Mickey appeared somewhere within this video, along with your suggestion or your comment to be in with a chance to win a DSNY Newscast pin. And congratulations to Kevster for winning with this suggestion from the previous video where we were talking all about the Ratatouille ride construction that's beginning within Epcot. And so that's it for today's video, so go ahead and subscribe down below if you're new to this channel, hit that notification icon so therefore hopefully you always receive an update about these videos coming out, and if you've enjoyed today's video, give this video a massive thumbs up as it really does help this channel out. And now I'm handing on over to you, the Waltoneers, to sign us off for today.
My name is Ed Marks and I'm from St. Petersburg, Florida, and I've been Jack. You've been you, and I'll see you real soon.